Hi guys, how are you? I want to talk to you today briefly about my attempts to move more towards a zero food waste household. Now, I'm already really pretty good at not wasting food. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back of that. I'm very resourceful. I really try to use up everything that we have. If you watch my recent pantry haul where I threw things away, I didn't throw away a whole lot. Now, I'm not opposed to, if you're not going to eat it, get it out of your house and create space. I'm all for that. But I grew up very poor and I don't make a lot of money now, and I recently went to part-time. So, funds are limited, and I think we're all kind of struggling with that right now anyway, let alone you can't really find what you need at the grocery store half the time. So I want to talk to you about how I'm kind of moving towards that and maybe where you can start. And I really want to talk to you specifically about, what do you do with these old bananas? Okay, so I will say that if you are going to move towards a zero food waste household, two things that I find super beneficial are investing in a chest freezer and investing in a composter. Now, you don't have to do either, and really you don't have to pay for a composter. You can really just do a compost heap for free anywhere, where you're just piling it. A lot of people will make them out of pallets that they hinge together too, super cheap and affordable. I will say, if you want to buy a composter, the time to do it is like now in the middle of winter, because they're only like $80 or so for a pretty big one, and if you buy it in the summer, they're up to like 120, 150, just because there's more demand for them. So I bought mine actually only a month or two ago, and I've had a garden for 2 years now, and it's kind of not doing so great. I usually have a lot of luck with tomatoes and peppers, and other than that, like squash bugs. I live in the South. Squash bugs ate like all of my squash plants, and it was like clinically depressing. It was horrible. Anyway, so two things that I think really help is investing in a chest freezer and a composter. So I do have a small chest freezer. I actually asked for one for Christmas when I first moved out on my own. So my parents got me, I think it was $150 at Sam's, and I've had it for 15 years now, and it's still going strong. So I do have a chest freezer and, again, a composter. Those two things really help you keep things until you can use them up. Now, also, there's a little bit of a process. Like when I'm cooking dinner or anytime I'm cooking, I have a couple of things on my counter. So I make a stack of things to recycle, so cans, boxes, things like that. If you live in an area where there are, recycling bins, I use my recycling bin, and it's usually fuller than my trash. For one, okay, it's good for the environment. Two, they pick up trash once a week, and I have like diapers and things, and so our trash does fill up pretty quick. And so to make space in my trash can, I can put lots of things in my recycle bin. So it's kind of twofold. It helps me out by leaving me enough space in my trash can, and it also, is recycling. So when I'm cooking, I have like my stack of things to recycle, and then I have my stack of things for the compost bin. And I didn't want anything fancy, so what I use, and I just keep it under the counter, but I bring it out when I have something to put in it. I use a milk jug that I cut, and it works fantastic because I can just pour it in kind of like a pitcher. So I just wrote compost on it, and it's kind of gross in there because I've been pouring things in it today. So for example, my sons had watermelon for breakfast, so I just chopped up the rind. There's a banana peel in there, and then there's a coffee filter with our coffee grounds from today. So all of those things are compostable, and so I just kind of set this out on the counter, and like if I get a minute, I'll go dump it in the compost bin, or I'll wait to the end of the evening, or I'll just set it back under the sink until I get a minute to bring it out. So there's that. So just a quick overview. We've got our trash can, we've got our recycle bin, which is always pretty full. We've got the composter right here, and then this is another, that's where I plant my garden, but I also use it as another compost heap. So what we do, we have tons and tons of leaves. We try to put as many leaves in there as we can as they're falling, and so we have a huge kind of cold compost pile, as well as the composter. Where is it here? And so this would be our warm compost. And I am just using both sides instead of letting one side cook, because it's a new composter, so I've kind of started both sides because they're already full of leaves. So that's our setup. So obviously the number one thing if you're trying to move to a zero waste household is eat your leftovers. We always eat our leftovers. They never go to waste, hardly ever. I pack them in my husband's lunch, or I just put them in a little meal prep container and put them in the fridge. And I mean, I have 2 sons and a husband, like they just disappear, like they eat them. And then if I'm snacky, I will eat leftovers too. I don't usually pack my lunch. I usually just have like cashews and an apple or something, but I can bring them for lunch. My husband always packs his lunch. I'm very fortunate that he is not a picky eater and he does not ever complain about the things that I cook. So I'm very blessed in that regard, and I know a lot of people aren't as blessed, but yeah, so he eats leftovers every single day for his lunch. So yeah, eat your leftovers, or, you know, repurpose them for a meal the next day if you have a lot left, so on and so forth. Another thing is I have 2 big dogs. I have a 100-pound German Shepherd and a 100-pound Pit Bull, and if there are a little bit of table scraps, they get them. Like if it's not, like if it's something that's not enough for really to save for a leftover meal, or if there's just a little bit left on our plates and it's something that's safe for them to eat, they get to lick the plates clean and they are super happy. I also only feed my dogs 1 bowl of food a day, and I feed them once a day because research proves that fasting your animals helps them live longer. My German Shepherd has hip dysplasia and a knee problem already, so I have to be very aware of her not getting overweight. So if they get a little bit of table scraps throughout the day, they're, you know, super happy because they get an extra treat, basically. So when I cook a meal, I package everything up for leftovers for lunch. If there's anything else left, the dogs clean the plate so that when I go to wash the plates, there's nothing left that I'm throwing away. Also, like I said, when I'm cooking dinner, I compost everything that I can, recycle anything that I can as well. So it is very, very rare that I'm scraping things into the trash at the end of a meal time. I do have a very picky toddler, and so if I have his plate and he doesn't really eat it all, I give it to the dogs first, and then I wash it. So a lot of people think that's gross. Don't let your animals lick off your plate and then you eat off it. Okay, whatever. I use the dishwasher. They're sanitized. So maybe I'm gross, but they're part of my family. Cook the meal, recycle, compost, leftovers to lunch or leftovers to the dogs, whatever. Okay, so I wanted to specifically talk today about bananas because sometimes I will have a lot left at the end of the week, and sometimes I only have like 1. So if I have a bundle of like, you know, 4 or 5 bananas that just went bad too fast, or, you know, finicky toddler doesn't like bananas this week or whatever, first of all, like, eat them. This looks bad on the outside, not too bad, but you know, almost always if you open this up, it really doesn't look that bad on the inside. I know a lot of people don't like bananas when they start to get a little soft. I don't mind them at all. So generally, if there's like 1 banana left like this, I will just eat that and that'll be my lunch and compost the peel. Again, if I have 5 or 6 bananas left, I think the most common thing that people do is make banana bread. And I do that as well. So I have a couple mini loaf pans, and if I have enough, like 5 or 6, that it's actually worth getting the things out and making banana bread, I do. So I make banana bread, I wrap it in freezer paper, I date it, then I put it in a bag, and I put it in the freezer. So again, that's where that chest freezer comes in handy. And this is also a great breakfast option. If I don't have anything really to eat for breakfast, I will pull one of these out and set it on the counter. About 20 minutes later, it's good to go. You slice it up, have some coffee and banana bread. It's absolutely delicious. So first thing, banana bread. Eat the banana because this really is not that bad inside. You can cut them up and put them on top of oatmeal. A lot of people put them in their smoothies, and I've done that too. You can make a milkshake or a smoothie. The other thing I really like to do is I will make banana pudding. So I try to keep a package of banana pudding in the pantry and then some Nilla wafers, and I will just make up a pudding and put bananas and cookies on top, and it's a great dessert. So I will make a dessert out of them that way. And the second way I like to use them up, and this is really what I do probably most often with them, is if I only have like 1 or 2 left, not enough for banana bread, I will slice them up into like a couple little bowls, and I usually keep some Cool Whip in the freezer, and I will put a big splop dollop what do you call it, splop. Put a big old spoonful of Cool Whip on top, and I'll do a little bit of chocolate syrup, and we have like a banana split type thing. And if they're mushy, I make this up before we eat dinner and put it in the freezer so that by the time you eat them after dinner, the bananas are like kind of semi-frozen, and they're, you know, they're more firm because they're semi-frozen. So if they're somewhat mushy, you can't tell if you do like a make ahead of time banana split because they've sort of frozen and kind of firmed up a little bit. My son does not like soft bananas, and so that's a trick I found really works with him, because when they're kind of frozen, he can't really tell that they're mushy. I think it's like a texture thing. So main two things I do are banana bread and little banana splits. And if I don't have time or any energy for any of it, I will take this whole thing and throw it in the composter. So again, at the end of the day, I'm not throwing it away. I'm putting it in the composter, which I will use to feed my garden, so it still won't go to waste. There's lots of other things that I'd be happy to talk to you guys about how I don't waste them, but those are my general ideas, kind of like an overview of what I do. Let me know your suggestions and tips down below, because again, I still have a little ways to go, actually probably a long ways, because I still do throw things out sometimes, and I would like to not do that. So let me know your tips and tricks down below. What do you do with food so you don't waste it? Maybe you have some ideas I didn't think of. Do you have other plans for bananas that go bad before you can get to them? Because I'd like to hear those as well, to have a little variety. So that's my chit chat for today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye. Okay, see, look at this. I'm gonna eat this banana. See how brown it is on the outside? Look, there's not a spot. There's nothing on the inside. Don't be fooled by the outside appearance. Life lesson as well as banana lesson. Fast and easy lunch for me. Probably better than goldfish for once. See, variety is the spice of life.